Welcome, Instant Reaction, Florida State LSU. What a freaking great football game. I'm going to start going backwards, all right, because, again, this is not a full recap of the game. This is just thoughts of the game. It reminded me so much of last year of how electric the atmosphere was. Luckily, this time we came out on top. We did everything we could at the end of that thing to not come out on top, but we did come out on top, 24-23. Man, it's going to be a fun night in New Orleans tonight. All right, let's start going backwards. All right, so obviously the play of the game now is the blocked extra point by Shaheem Brown. You know, there were a lot of plays of the game before that, but that was huge. And I've watched the replay multiple times, and that thing, after he blocks it, that ball hits the bottom of the goal, but hits the crossbar. I mean, we were lucky it still didn't go in, but man, I coached high school football for a long time, and I will always tell my edge guys on my extra point, step down, punch out. Don't ever step out. Once you step out, you open up the lane to the ball. You always want to make everybody take the longest route possible, but that dude stepped smooth out, gave up the inside, and man, what effort did Brown have in laying out and getting that block. The play before that, I've watched multiple times too. And we just didn't play it well. You can go back and watch it, and Jamie Robinson's in good shape as a safety. If he'd have known exactly what was coming in behind him, he could have jumped up and knocked that slant down. But they beat our corner easy. I think that was Cooper up there, whom obviously we're all big fans of, but he completely misses him. And it looks like he thinks he's about to try to jam him to the outside, and man, he just puts a move on and comes inside and catches a pretty easy ball there. So going back 3 plays, so we've, the last play to lead up to that. I mean, I thought watching it that his knee might have been down, and I thought it took him way too long to identify that might be. That might be what had happened. I didn't know because they were doing a review. I really didn't think of what that would change because, him going out of bounds and then them getting a review is almost the same thing. The only thing that it changed, I guess, was they had to snap that ball. I mean, theoretically, they would have had to snap that ball as soon as the clock was set, but they didn't. They just gave them one play. I guess that is what the rule would be. And that's really kind of unfair to the Florida State defense because let's be real, had that ball landed, had his knee been called down inbounds, the chains are going to come get set. And I watched the clock the whole game, and they had set it very quickly the whole game. So if they had done it the same way they had done it the entire game before that, they were going to get the chains set quick, and they were going to start the game clock quick. If they replay it on TV, you'll see what I'm talking about. They don't waste any time all night in getting that play clock going, and I'm telling you, I don't know that they could have got a playoff. It sure would not have been an organized play. I think they are smart enough to not have tried to spike it, but I mean, they were going to have to run from about 15, 16 yards, get up there and run a play, and I'm not sure they would have been able to do that. So that's just the last little bit. I mean, if you take a little bit further of a step back and just take the last defensive possession by Florida State when LSU got the ball on basically the 1 yard line, It's typical late game stuff. You'll see it all year long in the NFL. You see it a lot in college football. Defenses keep offenses pretty low scoring the whole game, and then all of a sudden the clock is running low, and you back everybody off, and it never. I'm not saying it was the wrong thing to do, but it typically does not work out in your favor. I just thought we were giving up way too much easy stuff. I mean, in college football, a minute and whatever they had, I don't know what they had. I don't remember what they had when they got the ball on the 1 yard line, but it was over a minute. And in college football, and I think they had all three. No, they had used one, so they had 2 timeouts. That's an eternity. You know, and as good as you had played the whole game, I think you got to keep the pressure on them. I felt like we had done a great job the whole game of not giving up the big play. They were letting them catch some stuff underneath, and then they were making really good tackles. I don't think you changed. I mean, maybe you changed your approach a little bit, but not to the extent that we did, because we were just giving up 15, 20-yard chunks. I mean, and boy, you could tell it was not. I thought we were headed to overtime. I'm not going to lie. I texted my dad the second we fumbled it, and on the first play, I saw how much room we were giving them, and I told him, I said, we're going to overtime. You know, but luckily we blocked that extra point. And then the only other play on the end that again, if it works, I don't think we're sitting here ever talking about not pitching it on the 1 yard line, but I didn't understand it. We had pitched it earlier to Toafili on, I think, a 3rd and probably 4. We had gone to the right. We had pitched it on the right hash, and he'd gotten the first down. But it sure was not something we had done a lot of. And, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure, and y'all may disagree with this, I think Trayshawn Ward had purposely not scored on 1st and 2nd down. For sure on 2nd down, I think he was being very smart and falling just short of the goal line. I think he was intending to score, but he sure wasn't trying to do it quickly. I thought he was playing very smart. If we hand that ball off just like we had the whole time, I have a hard time believing he's not going to get in the end zone. And heck, even if he doesn't on 3rd down, you know, you're going to kick that field goal and go up 2 scores and be Dunsky. So I've made some of those calls when I used to call plays. You get too cute. You get too smart for your own good. I thought we did that 2 times tonight, which is a lot less than we did over the last few years with Dilly, who I don't wish anything bad about him, but I'm glad he's coaching in Oregon. I thought we always just tried to be too cute. Pitching it on the 1 yard line when you're wearing them out, going up the middle, that's just being too cute. That's just, as an offensive play caller, you know, and like I said, I did it too. I remember running a reverse one time, and my kid dropped the pitch, and it was the difference in between us going up 2 scores and probably putting the game away. But when the kid dropped it, all of a sudden it's a tie ball game. We end up getting beat. You can't outsmart yourself as a play caller. You know, but I think Norvell probably learned his lesson tonight. I thought Norvell called a good game. I thought we had a much better offensive game plan than we've had the last few years. So as long as he learned his lesson with that, then we'll call it good. As far as the rest of the game goes, the only other call I disagree with was not kicking the field goal in the first half. And yes, JT throws a beautiful ball on 4th down, and Micah Pittman should have caught it. But think about that, guys. We take those points right there, we're never in the situation that we were in. And if Fitzgerald makes the very first field goal that he misses when we're down 3-0, and we take the points right there, and we don't pitch the ball, I mean, this isn't even a game. And even if we do pitch the ball, we're up plenty if we take care of our business with those field goals. You know, that being said, that was a beautiful ball he threw there. That was a beautiful ball he threw to Johnny Wilson in the back of the end zone. And I am not disappointed in how our receivers played. I thought it was hands down a better showing than what we've had the last few years, but we did have some drops. Wilson, in my opinion, dropped 2, and then Micah Pittman, you know, that was a big drop. But hey, Johnny Wilson also made some huge catches. I was very impressed with him, and all hail Pokey. I'm just can't be happy enough that he had the game he had. Let's see. I think he had over 100 yards receiving. Am I right? Let me look. Yes, he had 7 catches, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the one he caught with one hand on the targeting call on Jordan Travis, we're going to be seeing that play, I bet, all year long on a whole lot of pre-games and halftimes and college football for the year highlights, because Jordan Travis takes a shot. If you only watched it once, go back and watch it again. That kid unloads on him and hits him helmet to helmet. And, man, he drops a dime to Pokey Wilson. And Pokey just reaches out there and snags that with one hand. I don't think Pokey had a drop. I think he caught everything they threw to him tonight. And then overall, I really do think we caught the ball well. I'm thinking of other drops, like Cam McDonald's. The first time in full live action, when JT tried to hit him right over the top of those linebackers on that seam route, I was like, God, that was a horrible drop. You got to catch that. And he still does have to catch it. But when they showed the replay, it was a bit trickier than what I thought. I mean, it could have been tipped a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, he should have caught it. But that was a tougher catch than I thought. And he had some huge, especially early, he had some huge, first down catches early. I was glad to see Deuce involved. I thought the reverse was a nice touch because he can run a little bit. I was a bit confused on the drive. Okay, so when we're up 24-17 and we go 3 and out, I think it's our only 3 and out of the night. I was a little confused on why we went short side of the field on both first down and second down. I am a short side of the field fan. As a coach, I called a lot of short side of the field, but I mean, that first down was a waste because Treshaun Ward, he couldn't bounce it because he knew he couldn't go out of bounds, and so he immediately had to throttle down and then get down. And then I think one of the better runs for Deuce tonight was that reverse going to the right to the short side of the field. Again, go back and watch that thing. There's not a lot there, but he ducks his head and goes and gets 4 or 5 tough yards. Running the ball, Treshaun Ward to me was hands down the best running back of the night. I thought Toafili had a few good runs. If you listen to this, if you're one of the 2 people in the world that listen to this, you will see what I was saying last week about Trey Benson came to fruition tonight. And what I said about Sam McCall last week came to fruition tonight. I don't think Trey Benson can. I think the Duquesne was an anomaly if that's how he plans to run. I don't think you can, and I said it last week, he was, I wouldn't even use the word patient. He was almost waiting to get hit before sticking it in the ground and going upfield. And last week, all the talk was all the tackles he was breaking. Well, and I remember saying that he ain't going to break all those tackles against LSU, and I think we saw that tonight. I think he's got to hit the hole a lot harder than what he does. I feel like Treshaun Ward has patience. I don't think what I see Trey Benson doing is patience. I see it as, he's not hitting the hole. And he's waiting for first contact and then trying to make tough yardage versus hitting that hole and then, continuing after the contact. And I think you saw that tonight. I thought he was very ineffective. And I'm hoping that that's not who he is because I think he's really talented. And if he would just, take those first 2 to 3 steps a lot more aggressively to the play called hole, I think he'd be all right. Same thing goes for Sam McCall. I said it last week. I didn't understand on the kickoff returns. It looks like he is coasting. And I guess I equate that with he's used to being probably the best athlete on the field in high school. So he can kind of, and I coached a couple of those guys. They can kind of ease into the first 10 yards of that kickoff return until they see that crease and then hit it hard. That's what I think he thinks he's doing, but that's not going to happen in Division I football against the good ones. That crease is never going to appear. I think him and Trey Benson, exact same thing. I think if he's going to be back there returning kicks, he's got to catch that thing, and he's got to move it. And I think Trey Benson's got, anytime he's getting the ball, he's got to hit it hard. But I don't know. Let's see how many people carried the ball tonight. Treshaun had 16. Jordan Travis had 8, and I thought they were all pretty effective ones. Deuce had the 2 reverses. Trey Benson had 6. Toafili had 4. And then Pittman had 1. And then DJ Lundy with the big one. I thought that was awesome. I was a little worried on the play before that. Again, I thought it was us being too cute. They had Trayshawn Ward in the Wildcat with Lundy blocking for him. I didn't like that, but I got no beef with him being a blocking fullback in the eye. So I was happy for him. And then receiving, we had a lot of people catch the ball. Let's look. We had Pokey had 7 for 102. Johnny Wilson had 3 for 60. Pittman had 3 for 45. Cam had 3 for 23. Toafili, Douglas, Ward, and Deuce. Well, Deuce had 2. The others all had 1. McElroy kept saying, I think it's time for us to take a shot. And I disagreed with that, unless he means a shot like 10 to 15 yards down the middle of the football field, like on a deep dig route. I thought that was there. I still don't think we have that guy that can get behind a fast secondary. Deuce is going to be the closest thing we got, because I really do think he can run. But on the one early, he was on the right side, kind of running a skinny post, and we were probably on the 30, so he didn't have just a ton of room to work with. But I thought he throttled down the one time we did try to throw it deep to him. I don't think against a speedier secondary, and I mean LSU, they're going to have some speedy DBs. I don't think we yet have that guy that can go get behind people consistently. So I really didn't want us to do that. I wanted us to do exactly what we did. I thought we found those intermediate routes a lot. I was hugely impressed with JT. He made some throws tonight that he has not made in the past, and they weren't fluky throws. The one to Micah Pittman on 4th down that Pittman dropped, I mean, that was on the money. Johnny Wilson in the right side of the end zone, that was on the money. Pokey Wilson, the one we did catch, that was on the money. There was one early on, I thought he kind of was scrambling right and threw it away down the middle of the football field, and I was scared before that hit the ground. But other than that, I thought he played really well. And then you add on to that the dynamic plays he made. He was able to escape and still find people. And that's a tribute to the O-line, who I thought is hands down 2 games in a row the best offensive line we've had in a long time. And it's also a tribute to JT, and it's a tribute to the receivers. For the first time, I think we got some guys that understand how to get open. I don't think we've had that the last few years. They're big, which I love, and they know how to get open. I just don't think they can quite outrun you yet. Defensively, I was really worried at the beginning of the game, but I thought we kind of settled in. And, until the second to last touchdown drive for LSU, we really helped them out with the 2 penalties. Keem Dent hit the quarterback late, I guess. These were Big 12 officials. They're not used to big boy football, so I guess that was late. I mean, those guys don't even let you do the horns down. They're so sensitive, so, I mean, whatever. Akeem Dent got to be smarter than that. And then the pass interference, the first time going live, I didn't think it was a legit call, but when they showed it in replay, I thought it was. But if you take away that drive, which it was an 82-yard drive, I think, and we gave them 30, and the very last drive, I thought our defense got better and better as the night went. I thought our secondary didn't let all I kept hearing all the last 2 weeks was how much better the LSU receivers were going to be compared to our DBs. And I'll be honest with you, I thought our DBs held their own for the most part until those last 2 drives. And other than the last play from the 1-yard line, that last drive, we weren't really trying to cover anybody. We just were giving up all this bukus of yardage underneath us and then running to make a tackle. It was good to see Jared Verse get in there. I didn't think our defensive tackles had the best game, but they didn't have the worst game. They made some big plays when they had to. And it was good to see Tatum Bethune running around a little bit. It was good to see Deloach. I'm telling you, our linebackers are better than they've been. Don't get me wrong. I do think, and I told my father this, I think we are good enough to beat anybody. I thought that last year. I think we're a different level than that. I think we could play with everybody on our schedule. But I still think if we don't take up our business, if we try to get too cute, if we come into a game not taking them seriously, we could still lose some that we're not supposed to lose. So it's still a long road ahead of us, guys. But, hey, I am taking 2-0, and I'm taking a victory over LSU in New Orleans. And I am going to enjoy that for tonight. Then we'll worry about the next one, I think, which is Louisville when that gets a little closer. But the Florida State Seminoles are 2-0. And I think it's been a bit since then. I think it's been a bit since we beat an SEC team. And it was a good 2-0. It was not a fluke. Like, I think if LSU had pulled that off in overtime, I think people would have thought LSU stole a game from a better Florida State team. Or I think they would have thought Florida State found a way to lose a game that they were clearly the better team in. We were the better team. We didn't. We made some boneheaded calls / plays late that helped LSU stay in the game. But at the end of the day, 2-0 is 2-0. So, instant reaction, man. I've gotten to do 2. I started podcasting for 2 instant reactions, and both of them were victories. So, I hope we continue this. All right. It'll be a bit. Florida State doesn't play again for several days. I don't have the schedule right in front of me. But I think it's Louisville, and I think it's a bit away. So, you will not hear from me. But, man, what a great first weekend of college football. There were some unbelievable games. And they all are a lot more fun to talk about after you watch Florida State beat LSU in New Orleans 24-23. Scalp 'em nose, and you guys have a great week.